Turn down.
Hey everybody, it's Thursday, which means it's another episode of Naturally Unbothered. I am Shari, and I'm solo. I've been abandoned by myself, but not really, because I have the P.L.U.M.P Queen here. Say it, Tema-Ra?
Tema-Ra.
Tema-Ra, okay. Yes, the P.L.U.M.P Queen. She is a life coach. And she is here to help unpack some childhood trauma with me today. This lady has been doing this for 3 years, been life coaching for about 3 years. And she has an outstanding platform. Let me allow you to tell everybody about your platform, what you do, how you do it, and what you do it for.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. On the Naturally Unbothered.
Unbothered. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, we unapologetic. We unbothered. We all of that. I'm so sorry. Well, thank you for having me on here. And I started my platform 3 years ago. AMPspirationttv was the platform. That's the name of my podcast. And I just started speaking about my life. I was looking for my purpose, and I've kind of been a life coach my whole life, to be quite honest. I've always been the person that people would come to for advice or for love and, I guess comfort and stuff like that. So I've been mother love my whole life. So I figured, let me put that to use. So I just started going live, and then it turned into a business. So that's how AMPspireMedia LLC came about. And now we're talking business. So I was trying to figure out, what's the best way to go about that. And now I'm going to have a streaming channel on Roku launching in April. So
that is amazing.
I'm really excited about that. I do this because it is my purpose. It has always been my purpose, and everything I've done in my whole life has led me to do this. Losing my arm, the trials and the shadow work that I've had to do, all the tribulations I've gone through has always led me so I can do this, so I can have a story to tell, so my experiences can help other people. So that's why I do it. This is, going to be my legacy to help the world and to spread this AMPspiration. So
AMPspiration. I love it. And when I first seen the name, I was like, I wonder where that comes from. And then when I was like, send me a bio, and then you're like, oh, I'm an amputee. I didn't even notice. When I had saw you, I saw you on a video, and then I had saw you in a group, and I was like, I didn't even notice, because I'm just like, you have an aura about you, so I'm just automatically drawn to your face. I didn't even pay attention to the rest of you, and then when you sent me that, I was like, oh my gosh, she is an amputee.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean. Some people just have that about them, to where, like, yeah, there's other things around, but that's not your focus. You just have this energy around you that I'm drawn to you versus what's around you. So
I've tried my best to do that. When I first lost my arm, I really wanted to just be me. I didn't want to be identified, by my arm, because I was never identified by anything else. I grew up a fat girl. I always had a fro. So, all those things were always different and maybe not so popular, but those things didn't define me. So I wasn't going to allow this to define me either. And that, that leads to people not noticing until I actually say something, or
I'm telling you,
when it's obvious.
I'm telling you 100%. I was just like, what? She is an amputee. I didn't even know. I was just like all taken by the stuff that I had read and the things that I saw. It never dawned on me. But anyway, so the reason why I asked and requested that you come on the show with us, not only just because you are just this phenomenal being, it's just because I just felt like you would be a great person to unpack some childhood drama with. You've been through things in your life, and I've been through things in mine. But I kind of want to go, I originally wanted to do this to unpack my own personal things. But as I was reading and doing a little research, and it's not that I don't know what childhood trauma is, but I think I was only identifying with my own personal and not the wide range of traumas there is. Didn't even realize some of the things I have inflicted on my children. And I consider myself a pretty great mother, but I mean, the span of traumas, it's not even all abusive traumas or what would be considered negative. Like I'll say, I was a military spouse for 22 years, and the constant moving, never thought that that was traumatic to my children because we got to move. The military said we had to go. So in my research, I'm like, oh, well, I was just going to focus on like what my ailment was. But then I was reading and I'm like, it's all these other things that we don't even think about that's impacting other people. We automatically go to abuse.
That's true. That's very true. It's very interesting you said that. When you think about what traumatic means, you know what I'm saying? That's something that shocks you. That could be a good thing. That can be a bad thing. I'll give you an example in my life. My aunt. This was very traumatic because I remember it. It molded part of my life and my thinking in a certain way when I was growing up. We had this thing about being clean. My grandmother was a very clean person, and she passed that down onto her children. And my aunt used to have this thing called the butt test. Mm-hmm. So whenever I would spend time with her, and I would take a bath after I get out the shower, she did this to her children. She did this to all of us. She would take her finger and swipe it through our behinds and smell her fingers to make sure to see if we cleaned it properly. Mm-hmm. And if we didn't, she would make fun of us. Ew, you stink. Get back in the shower and do this, all that. And pretty much embarrass you.
Wow.
In front of everybody. In her mind, she was being funny and she was teaching me to be clean. Wow. That was very traumatic. I'm not gonna front. It was traumatic. Now, not traumatic to the point where I was just overly insecure at myself and, all of that, but it trained me. Because once
you have a clean butt now.
I was a teenager and I started getting them feelings and started thinking about boys and whatnot, she would always pop in my head. If she gonna do the butt test, they're absolutely gonna be doing the butt test because they're gonna be touching on over your stuff. So your stuff got to be smelling right when you smell their fingers. So she kind of trained me, you know what I'm saying, to be clean. Now her teasing me in front of my cousins and all that was traumatic. That was a form of verbal abuse in a right fashion.
Yeah.
But that trained me in a positive, like it gave me it gave me a positive result. So right. Yeah, it was traumatic.
Yeah, that's why I said I literally was just thinking about like my own personal trauma is like molestation, abandonment, like those types of things. Like, that's the stuff that I was trying to, like, I was like, well, we just gonna unpack this. But then when I got to research and I was like, there's just so much more that I didn't even think about that I was, that I was impacted by, or I've impacted my own children, trying to shelter them and keep them away from the things that, were issues with me. As I was growing up, I was trying to shield them from it, but I'm exposing them to their own trouble. Like I just never even thought, we just got to pack up and move. It's time to go. Just never knowing that like the 7 states that they lived in each time we moved, how much of a traumatic event that was for them, leaving their friends. We always think children are so resilient. They're going to bounce back. They'll be okay. And on the outside, in the surface of things, they were, but you just don't know what that's doing to them on the inside. I never had thought of it. I never thought about the aspect of men. Like, I do have someone that's very close to me that's a male who also was molested. But like I said, it's all sexual, the things that, I related to. But it was like, it's so much more. Like I'm just telling you, I just was researching and it was just like a wormhole. I was going from this one to this one to that one to that one. Just like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. Well,
I'll say this as well. I also feel that us as a society, we have been taught to be weak. I'm going to go out there and just say that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that they consider traumatic wouldn't be traumatic if we didn't keep saying that it was traumatic. You see what I'm saying? Like, just think about slavery. Can you imagine living through that?
I cannot.
See what I'm saying? But millions of people did. We wouldn't be here if that didn't happen. So if they were able, they had to live that daily. That was their daily lives, and they survived that. That was traumatic.
Right.
That is traumatic. You know what I'm saying? So if they were able to survive that with no therapy, you know what I'm saying? There was no therapy. And after slavery, they had to just integrate and figure it out afterwards. It wasn't like they had a plan. You know what I'm saying? There was no reparations. And then pass that on down to generations. So what is really traumatic?
And I'm my answer to that would be, it's going to be the same thing as like, what is abuse? Like, it's what you identify as a person, because definitely what could be traumatic, I call them real world problems. So stuff that just, if I complain about it to someone else, they'll be like, what? But if, if I complain about it to someone in the house that I live with, they're like, oh my gosh, that's my same problem too. But if it's, what I'm saying, if I complain to about somebody else, it's not going to make any sense to them. So it would definitely be the same difference,
So that would make it, relative. That means abuse, trauma, all those things would be relative. It's really what you think it is. I'll give you another example that may be a little touchy.
It's okay.
Don't agree with it at all. I think it's very, but it happens. There are a lot of celebrities who have adopted children when they were babies, raised them, and then married them.
What?
There's this actor dude, you can look it up. He adopted this Asian child, and is now, you know what I'm saying, that is now his wife, now that she is in her 20s.
Stop playing.
Nope. So we all in the outside world is like, what the F, you're a pedophile, like you're just, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of that going on.
Woody Allen.
There you go. That's his name.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So, like I said, I don't agree with that. I feel like that's very predatory. You have these people with all of this money and these resources, and they are buying these children on the front of, being charitable and wanting to take care of children who need, families, but they're indeed just training up, you know what I'm saying, their wives. So for us,
that's some real grooming, because you literally have, and that father-daughter relationship, you have basically groomed her. Oh my gosh, that is
right. Now, but guess what? Guess what? But if you ask that girl how she feels about it,
she's not gonna feel.
Guarantee you, she's not going to see or feel what we feel, because in her mind, this man is all she knows. He raised her, he takes care of her, she's living the best life. She probably eats the best food, went to the best schools, have the best opportunities. She out there chilling.
Yeah, but like, what about your mother though?
Well, see what I'm saying? These are children that they're adopted. So these are children.
I know, but I'm saying he left his wife for her and married her. So that's her mother.
Daddy.
Look.
Don't we call our men's daddy? You'll be surprised. You'd be surprised, because remember, he's been grooming her.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So he's been putting her in a position to be daddy's little girl, to sit on daddy's lap. Very predatory. But if you ask that girl how she sees it and how she feels about it, she's not going to see that. She'll probably defend that man to the end, because her experience wasn't traumatic. So
I feel like she should be traumatized. Regardless.
I guess I feel you, and honestly, but that's based on what we're taught,
right?
Yes, like
yes.
another movie.
So it's completely subjective to the person who's in it.
Mm-hmm. Just like anything, just like with people's religions and how their ways of life, like, we don't like the fact that, Muslims wrap their women up all the time. We feel like that's oppressive, that you know what I'm saying, that they're not allowed to show skin and they're not allowed to do this and that and the third. Well, guess what? They think we are all whores and harlots because we're all loose and got our stuff all hanging out and all of that other jazz. So while we thinking they're oppressed, they think, you know what I'm saying, we going to hell or whatever. Perspective.
Yeah, definitely perspective.
So it's like, that's why I let folks live their life and do what they do. And to be quite honest, you're judged in certain situations. You know it's wrong if it feels wrong to you. And karma always happens, regardless of what. There's always going to, all energy you put out, anything you do comes back to you.
Well, I have a different perspective on karma. Okay. If you don't have a conscious, karma's never going to come back to you.
I'll say this. You may not feel that it's karma, but it's universal. What you put out is what you get back. Now, how you feel about it may be different. That's just like you got the murderous person, you know what I'm saying, who does all the evil things. He's going to get his at the end, but he may see it as glory. He may take it as his demise, you know what I'm saying? It's him going out with a bang, but he still died a bloody, disgusting, painful death, something that we feel like, you know what I'm saying, we couldn't deal with, and, clearly he deserved that. But for him, he went out like a bang. He went out the man. It's still all, you know what I'm saying, it's all about your perspective on it.
I mean, I agree. I mean, because you just never know what, there's been like several cases like in the news about women who have been taken advantage of or assaulted, and when they put them on trial and they have them to defend, being a victim, mm-hmm. They put things out like, so your husband, he smacks you on the butt all the time, right? Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah. So then how come, you're mad because this man smacked you on your butt? I mean, you allow people to smack you on your butt. Like, I mean, they will turn, you know what I'm saying? Like, they will turn anything into like, and just like totally devalue whatever the person is saying just for their benefit of proving a point. And so, yeah, it is 100% subjective to the person on the outside and the person who's living it.
I'll say this, when you talk about court, and this is why I tell women all the time when it comes out, stuff like that, you got to live life the way it is, not the way you want it to be. We all know, you know what I'm saying, how this court system works, you know what I'm saying? And we all know that it is legal for lawyers to do that, to trip you up, to trigger you, to saying things, you know what I'm saying, to, what is it called? To see reasonable doubt, to prove reasonable doubt. So that's illegal for them to do that, to badger or what, you know what I'm saying, witness and try to flip their words and figure it out. So this is why we have to make sure that we put ourselves in certain positions. Discernment is all I can tell you. We live in a really jacked up world. There's a lot of negative energy. There's a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, who are doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? And you can't control people. You can only control yourself. So this is why I say energy and, karma. The more good you put out there, the more you're going to come back. Like, I walk around by myself a lot. I'm in a relationship, but my man is normally on the road. So I do a lot of walking and doing things by myself. It could seem dangerous if I'm walking in the park or you know what I'm saying, I'm walking through them back roads, by myself. Anybody can try to snatch me up. Anybody can try me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't walk around Hey, beautiful.
You
Oh, no, you good. Good.
finish your statement. You don't walk around.
Oh yeah, I don't walk around with weapons or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm aware. I have it in my mind. You know what I'm saying? If somebody was to try me, that they're gonna have to work hard for this. They're gonna have to work hard for it because I'm gonna give them a run for their money. But I do my very best to put out a certain energy so I don't be in them type of spaces. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's really the only thing that you could do. And another hard pill to swallow is understanding that even the worst things that happen to you happen for a reason, even when you're talking about sexual trauma.
Yeah, I mean, even when you're a good person, and I've said it a million times, like I know that I do right by people, and I don't understand why, these things come back. But that used to be my main statement all the time when I was younger. Like, I do right by people. Why do they keep doing this? And it's literally because I needed to learn that you can't do right by everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people deserve the same energy that they're giving you back.
That's right.
But I was trying to be like, I would be nice to everybody, then everybody would be nice to me. And that's just not how it works.
Look up the word nice and tell me if you ever want to be nice again.
I know one of my friends will like
etymology is so important. The words that you speak are so important. The things that you say, though, they're like magic spells. My mentor said that words are like magic spells. You can breathe life or death with the tongue. What you say you are is what you are. The life you speak is what it is. So if you always saying all the time, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, guess what? That's exactly what you invite into your life. You're gonna be broke. If you are, if I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, you're going to always be a victim. I feel that way about alcoholism too. I do not like that they tell you in AA to continue to call yourself an alcoholic.
Yes.
I feel like this is why most people are forever alcoholics, because that's what you're telling yourself. My name is such and so, and I'm an alcoholic. How are you an alcoholic if for 20 years you have not sipped a drink? How are you still an alcoholic? How are you still claiming something, you know what I'm saying, that does no longer overpower you?
Yeah, because in any other facet in life, that's not how it is. You can recover from anything and you're no longer that. But you have to be an alcoholic or an addict forever.
An addict your whole life. And this is why they are addicts their whole lives. This is why they can't go to a bar and chill and be cool and just sip on some water or a tonic, is what most people do. They get a little tonic with the, with the lemon on it. You know what I'm saying?
It's the power of positive thinking. Like, I've been pushing that. That was all of my 2020, all of my 2021, and it's, and it's just the power of positive thinking. I just have been pushing it on everyone. Like, you have the power to change your mind. I was in a relationship with someone who was determined to be unhappy. And in hindsight, I feel like they were determined to be unhappy. They did not know how to be happy. So being unhappy was more pleasant for them because it was more familiar and things like that. And that, and being that I'm a person who is always so optimistic, and I try to be upbeat about just everything. Like, being with somebody that's the opposite of you, it is draining and traumatic.
Yes, it is. Dealing with other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely energy draining.
Definitely energy draining. Hello, Tasha.
Hi, y'all. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
My God. I can't even tell y'all what happened. I literally sat down on the couch an hour ago and I just woke up. Like, I have no idea what happened. So I'm so sorry.
Your body needed to rest.
I was so looking forward to this. Like, I was set up and ready to go. Like, I'm so sorry. I woke up and it was dark. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, please forgive me. How are you? I'm Tasha.
Hi, I'm amazing. I appreciate you both having me on here.
Man,
And
I've
yeah,
heard
everybody
great
need to rest
things.
up. I need you to be great. I promise you, no apologies at all. You look like you're tired. That means
Oh
you're
my God.
productive. Get your sleep, sis. Get your sleep.
Girl, my goodness. I'm so sorry. But hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes. So I wanted to share a couple stories about some men because, as women, as brown women, and women in general, but mostly brown women, and just in the brown community, the minority community, period. Anytime that there's any types of abuse, whether it be sexual or physical, definitely verbal, everything is just kind of shunned, or, oh, that's just how they are. And it's just, they just, as our community, we just pass it off. Like, my grandmother, she has a mouth, like, and she would just say things. Like, I have one example. My mom was incarcerated at one time, and my grandmother was like, hey, y'all just got this new truck. We're going to go out of town. You should let us take your truck. And I was like, no. I was like, no, you can't take my truck. And it wasn't, she didn't even ask for an explanation, but I didn't even owe her anything because it was my truck and you just can't volunteer to take it. So I was like, no. And so she looked at me and said, if you caught fire right now, I wouldn't even piss on you. You're so selfish. Mm. And I was just like, what? Like, she had no clue why I said no. So she told my aunt, she was like complaining. She was like, she's so selfish and she just only thinks about herself. And my aunt was like, you do know she's going out of town to go see her mom in jail, right? And she was like, oh no, I didn't know. Like,
but I'm over here burning on fire, and you.
But I'm on fire.
Right.
Yeah, but then like later when I spoke to her, I told her, I said, that was probably one of the most hurtful things you ever said to me. And when she came back, she never says I'm sorry. She always just gives you money. She's like, well, here's some gas money to go see your mom. But everybody else, when I complained about it, I was like, I can't believe she said, well, you know how she is. That's just her, but that's how it's just, just passed over the years. Like, that's how it is in our community. We are just the people that just be like, oh, that's just them, or, oh, don't tell that. Keep the most toxic statement is, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Mm-hmm. That's that slave mentality, sis.
That is exactly what that is.
You do as I say and not as I do.
Not as I do.
My grandparents were like that. My aunts are like that right now. Mm-hmm. I just did I did a show last night with my cousin. We was talking about tarot and a dream that I had. And yeah, my aunts, they feel like because them and my mom came out the same portal, that they get to abuse me. They get to treat me any kind of way that they want to, because they're older than me. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter right, wrong, or indifferent. If they ask me for something, I'm supposed to give it to them. Never mind if I got it. But because they need it, I'm supposed to give it to them. And if I don't, I ain't shit. I'm this, I'm that. They can curse me out, do whatever. That's how.
And you have to be respectful and not cuss them out back.
Oh, see. That's why they over there and I'm over here. That's one of the reasons why I'm the black sheep of my family, because I'm the one person that checks them. Now, I don't curse them out and do all of that, but I stand up for myself. I'm an adult. I'll be 37 years old on my next birthday. I'm grown. So you can't talk to me no kind of way. And you ain't my mama. My mama don't even, talk to me like that. And even when she gets in her bag, you know what I'm saying? She gets told too. Yeah. I have to break that cycle, and they don't like that, but it has to be broken somewhere. It's one of the reasons why I'm so forthcoming with my, with my story and doing the childhood trauma podcast, because this under the rug stuff has to stop. This is why our families are the way they are. This is why we're, going through what we're going through. So somebody has to burst that bubble.
Yeah.
It's the R. Kellys of the world.
I was just getting ready to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's, we know plenty of stories of women, but men stories just go untold. Definitely put under all the rugs and all the carpets and the down deep. They just don't even discuss it.
And they get ridiculed when they repeat the cycle as if they're not human beings.
Yeah, so I had 3 stories. One male, he was 30 years old when he was sexually abused in a men's restroom. He was at a shopping center. He wasn't at a bar, just literally completely taken advantage of. Just getting his groceries or something. You know what I'm saying? You just go in the bathroom, just think you just go into Walmart before you go shopping and then get assaulted in the bathroom. Like, and this man, he couldn't tell anybody about it because he was too embarrassed.
Yeah. Because nobody probably would have believed him. Because the first thought is, well, you're a man. How did you let him do that?
Exactly. It becomes victim blaming always.
How did you let a man overpower you and do all of that? Why didn't you kick his ass, kind of thing?
Yeah, and his coping mechanism was just to forget about it, just to push it out of his mind. That was his coping mechanism. And I mean, just the years of trauma that would cause, would be on him. Like this, how can you push that away?
Because that's what men are taught. Men are taught they're not supposed to deal with their emotions and their feelings. Boys are not supposed to cry. You got to man up and all of that. They're not taught to be emotionally aware. And this is how you have, this is how you repeat these cycles. Have you ever seen the movie Mississippi Damned?
Yes.
That's a tearjerker for real. And that's a really good example of that. Because
I think that's on Prime. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I'm going to watch it again. It's so sad. But that's what happened to that little boy. He was molested. Nobody knew about it. He was trying to get money to get out of his situation, got out his situation, but never dealt with his issues. And once he got into a space where he was vulnerable and, feeling up in a space of lack, he reverted back, to that situation.
He practiced the behavior that he had,
Absolutely.
that had been pushed on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He didn't mean to hurt his cousin.
He did not.
He wasn't trying to hurt her at all. Saying? But he did. And that changed her. And then when he came back, that made his cousin feel some type of way about her. She was watching him. And then that little girl, that's another situation. Because you have victims, but then you got little girls like Shorty pushing up on him. She wasn't a victim.
No.
She was pushing up on that man. And he, if anything, was being manipulated by her. She wanted the basketball dude. She saw him as this star. Oh, he's into basketball or baseball or whatever. So let me get with this, guy or whatever. So now he molested his cousin and now he's a pedophile. Now he's sleeping with other little, Like,
yeah, and she heavily pursued him.
15-year-old girl, but heavily pursued him. But of course, he's going to be blamed for that completely because he's the adult. No one knows that he was an abused little boy who just grew up to be a man and didn't fix none of that. He was just trying to get some comfort because he felt inadequate in his situation. His wife is talking about, I need this, that, and the third. We got his son. It was so much pressure on him. It's sad. And there's a lot of stories, that are like that. So this is why I say, we really have to redefine, what it is to be men, what it is to be women. You know, what is to be human, to be quite honest, because we're human beings at the end of the day. We're just opposite energies, but we all got feelings. You know what I'm saying? We all need emotional stability.
Yeah,
Definitely. So the next young man, he was sexually assaulted by his mother at age 6 and 7, and then later ended up in boarding school and was assaulted again. And his mom basically, he felt like he was the bad son because, you know, why else would she do this to him if he hadn't been bad?
Wow.
So
yes, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. When what do you tell somebody like that? That's his mama. You gave birth to him.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's supposed to be your number one protector.
Absolutely. She's supposed to show you what women are supposed to be like. Yeah, that's deep. And then,
I can only imagine the magnitude of just how he reacts and responds to women as a result of this.
I'm sure he's very socially awkward when it comes to women, I'm sure.
Or either, you know, I've seen different stories, you know, some of those stories where men end up hating women or end up really abusive towards women because of their mother and their mother issues, or, you know,
Absolutely.
So yeah, it can get really, really nasty.
Yeah, that's their way of taking control. So I didn't have any control when she was doing this to me. So now every other woman that I get with, I'm going to make sure that I completely control the situation. This is what breeds narcissists.
Yeah, or puts them in fear of, even if they have their own kids, am I going to do this to my child?
So let me not even do that. I had a gentleman who hit me up a couple of years ago. He saw one of my lives, and you know, he wanted to vent, and he had the same situation. His aunt molested him when he was a kid, and he was about 50 at the time. So he was still dealing with that. And I believe he told me that he had saw her maybe a couple of years prior to that, and he hadn't seen her for years. And it all came right back as soon as he saw her, and she was manipulating him the same way, and they ended up having sex again. And now he blamed himself all over again because he didn't understand why I haven't seen her in 20 years, but yet I could not resist that. So now he's blaming himself again.
Oh my goodness.
Well, why did I do that? You know, why couldn't I tell her no? 50-year-old man now. You know what I'm saying? It was the saddest thing. And I at the time really didn't know what to tell him, because it's like, talk about his aunt. You know what I'm saying? And I can't tell folks how to feel about their family. You know what I mean? I have a different perspective on family. I love my family, but my universe has put me in a position to be detached in certain ways. So yeah, anybody that's not good for my life has to go. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I was molested. The first person that molested me was my aunt. She was 16. I think I was like 7. So I definitely know that. And I didn't say anything to anyone until I was an adult. And I still was constantly having to be around her. But, you know, once I was a certain age, I would never be around her by myself. If I don't care who was leaving, I'm leaving with them. Or, I'm just not going to be in a space with her by myself. But I did confront her several years back. And of course, it was all denial. I don't remember that. Of course you don't remember that, but I do, and it was more or less me confronting her. Like I told her, I don't want an apology. I don't want anything. I want to stop carrying this around. So I don't care what your explanation is. I don't want to hear your excuse. I don't want to hear your denial. I just need you to know that I know that you did this to me, And I'm not even I wasn't even trying to like, oh, I'm going to forgive you for me. It wasn't even that. It was, I needed to say the words out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed you to know that I'm saying these words because I just needed to say it out loud. And I finally told my mom, and, you know, because this was her sister. And so, you know, she felt horrible because of it and was like, oh my gosh, you know, just how many times has she babysat you? Well, I mean, I can just say when I was older, it never happened. But when I was 7, it happened. But once I got older, she never did it again. But I never, like I said, I never put myself in a place to be around her by myself so it would happen again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So sorry that happened to you, love. I'm really sorry. And I'm sorry that she, you know, wasn't woman enough, you know what I'm saying, to apologize.
Yeah, that denial, I can imagine that. I mean, if you're not strong enough, I can imagine that being a whole nother type of hurt and even a setback if you're working on your healing, you know, because I mean, that is hurtful in itself. And then again, you don't know what somebody's mindset is or what that has done to somebody. So to be met with denial when you're just simply trying to heal. I what came face to face with my molester at my grandmother's funeral. And it was the opposite of that because I didn't go there looking for anything or even I didn't even know who I was going to see. I had moved away from that state years prior. I hadn't seen any of those people, never looked back, never wanted to see any of those people. So he was one of the first people I saw at my grandmother's funeral, drunk as hell at 11 o'clock in the morning, you know. So I could tell then that life had pretty much taken a toll on him. But when I saw him, I said his name and said hello. He didn't even know who I was. That's how long it had been since he saw me, you know. And so I said my name to him, said who I was, and he asked to speak to me in private. So we stepped away from the 2 cousins that I was speaking to, and he just grabbed me and looked me dead in my eyes and apologized to me for what he had done to me. And it was shocking. But I just embraced him and told him that I forgave him. It was amazing. And then to find out later on through the service, because he got up and spoke during the funeral, and he kept saying that he was glad to be able to have made amends with some family members that he had done wrong that he hadn't seen in a while. And I was just like, Lord, please don't let him like say this out loud. Like, what is happening right now? And so I was on like pins and needles the entire funeral. And then funeral's over, you know, we have the little dinner afterwards, and my aunt is going off and she's talking about it, and she brought up his little speech during the funeral, and come to find out, she was like, he ain't made no amends with me, and blah blah blah. Went on to say that he had done this to my cousin, and who knows who else he had done it to, but I was not his only victim.
Wow.
And so and even him apologizing to me, like, it's my first time sharing it with my brother at this time. I'm telling my brother about it at this dinner too. So like it freed me. His apology freed me in a sense, but then it was still dark because now I'm learning that you this is just who you were. You were doing this to other people as well, you know. So it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. Yeah, it's a lot to unpack. And I was thinking the other day, because I was like, as many times as it happened, I can't remember like any of the incidents. You know what I mean? As far as the
Detail.
actual incident. I couldn't tell you anything about that. So I guess somehow I blocked it out of my mind. With him in that situation, I probably happened 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. But my very first molestation happened before that even. We still lived here in Oklahoma, and I remember it comes back to, I think we were talking about on that show we did with Obi Shari about forcing kids to kiss people and things like that. You know, when you're a kid and you have, you know how you always have the little girl and the baby might favor a male over a female, or the little girl might smile, or, you know, and it was always that, like, oh, she liked him, or she, you know, that whole thing. I remember that whole type of scenario being a kid. And this guy named Honey, he was a neighbor, he was always around. I don't remember his age or how old he was. My mom was a young mom anyway, so she was probably, of course, early 20s. So I don't remember how old this Honey kid was. I just remember he was always around. And I remember being put to bed one night. I remember being woke up to being molested by him. And the way he calmed me was by using the fact that it's okay, it's me, Honey. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was supposed to be comfortable based on all the little innuendos that the adults had said. Oh, she favors him, or she flirts with him, you know, as a child. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you even have to be careful with those kind of things, with saying that around little girls, and little girls favoring the men or the uncles or the, you know, you just have to really, really be careful, because you don't know who's lurking and who's waiting.
Definitely. Because I definitely had my girls, like, I would not allow them to sit on laps.
Yeah.
Like, no, you will not sit on anyone's lap. No, you will not. Like,
Yeah.
And it's just so sad. I'm gonna first off saying I love y'all, and I'm very proud of y'all for, you know, putting yourselves out there, and y'all survived. Y'all are amazing. Because, you know, when it comes down to sexual abuse, I have been blessed to I've never been violated before. I've been around a lot of people who have. My mom dealt with that. My aunts and them dealt with that with my grandfather. So I've gotten the treatment of how they reacted to that, but I've never dealt with that myself. So my heart definitely goes to you guys. And like I said, y'all my heroes, because, you know, losing an arm is one thing. You know what I'm saying? That is a physical thing, but the emotional, you know, changes that, you know, you ladies go through dealing with that, you know, I don't know what that's like. So kudos to y'all for being amazing.
Thank you. I don't want to be amazing for that, but thank you.
Oh no, it's not about being amazing for
Right.
that, for coming through. I mean, there are a lot of people who done off themselves because of that they could not, you know, get through that. So you definitely be proud that you are a survivor. I will definitely.
Yeah, I definitely, what triggered me speaking to my aunt is, I was molested 3 times in my life, all before the age of 10. And the male experience, he never penetrated me with his penis. He penetrated me with his finger, while I was on his back. He was, you know, the normal, you know, when kids get on the back and you ride, you know, walk around the house, that normal thing. Mm-hmm. But he put his finger in my underwear, when I was on his back. And that, I was like, this is like, what is happening? And I, you know, of course I got off his back. I ran home. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was so, that experience to me was, I know I had already been molested by my aunt, who made me give her oral sex, but no one had touched my body parts. So that was different. And even the second experience was still, they were all different. So, but that was the first time someone had actually penetrated me and didn't force me to do things to them. Because the first 2 experiences was people making me do things to them. This was the first time someone had done something to me. And so, what made me say something is probably about, I want to say maybe like 2013, 2014, something like that. One of those years, the guy came to my mother's house, And my mom was like, "You never believe who's standing outside my door." And I said, "Who?" And she told me his name. And I said, "Why is he there?" I said, "Don't answer the door." And then she was like, "Well, of course I'm gonna answer the door." I said, "No, you're not gonna answer the door. And this is why you're not gonna answer the door." And then she was like, "Well, I'm not gonna answer the door." But because just the thought, not thinking he's gonna do anything to my mom, but in my mind, he's gonna do something to my mom. I literally found him on Facebook and wrote him this letter. "I will tell your children," because his children are my friends on Facebook. I mean, I have a relationship with them. "I will tell your children, I will tell your wife, I will tell your church, I will tell everyone. Don't you talk to if you see anybody in my family, don't you ever speak to them." So it came out of anger that I even said anything to him. But once I said something to him, I was like, I need to say something to my aunt. And then after I said something to my aunt, me and my stepmom were in Walmart just another time that I just happened to be in Oklahoma. And the greeter was the second person who molested me. And she reached out for me. And I said, "Bitch, don't you ever fucking try to hug me." And my stepmom was like, "Hey," my stepmom has never heard me cuss, ever. She just looked at me and I just grabbed her hand and I started walking. And I explained to her why I said what I said. And then, so I sent my aunt an email, I sent her an email, and I sent him a message. And it was all within like probably a 2-week time frame that I had just
seen all of them.
Just got it all out.
Yeah,
I just got it all out. I'm like, I literally sent those messages to them. I know they all responded to them. I didn't even want to read. I didn't want their responses because I don't want to give you the opportunity to deny it. Nothing. But like, as far as my aunt, I had to see her. Like, she was at my mom's funeral. Like, I've had to encounter her, but I let her know, don't even have this conversation with me, because I will ruin your life. Our whole family life will be ruined. So there's no need for you to have a conversation with me. I don't want your apology. I don't want anything. I needed you to know that I remember, and that's it.
Wow. Well, moment of transparency. Then I have somebody to talk to. When I was a kid, me and my younger cousin, we experimented once. We used to catch my grandfather watching porn at nighttime. So a couple of times, him and I was reenacting the things that we saw on television. But I'm the older cousin. See what I'm saying? So I've never heard this in my family. No one's ever said anything about it. We got caught, we got chastised, we didn't get beat or nothing like that, but we were definitely told that wasn't the thing we were supposed to do. We're family. It's, that's not supposed to. But I've never gotten the impression that I molested him. You know what I'm saying? That's not how I saw it. That's not how my family saw it. But listening to what you're saying, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's experimentation with children.
Well, wait, I was older than him though. Like you said your
like
aunt.
How much older?
I'm 30. I think I'm about 3-4 years older than him. And you said that your aunt made you, what I'm saying, give her oral. Now, I didn't make him, I didn't force him to do it, but that's what we were doing. And because I was older, I was more so the one in control of the situation because I had more understanding of what I was seeing. So I'm going to have that conversation, you know what I'm saying, with my cousin to ask him if he ever felt any way about it.
Like that.
Because if that's the case, me and him need to have that conversation because that absolutely was not my intentions. That's not what I was doing at all. I was being, at least for me, I thought I was being a kid. Now, his mom is the one who caught us. And like I said, we got yelled at and they told us, you're not supposed to do that. Y'all are cousins, family don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Type situation. But that's all that was. I have never gotten the impression, not his parents, not him, have ever said that, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's a lot to unpack because with you saying that, another moment of transparency, same situation, like after The first time I was molested, I had to be somewhere between 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I remember it. And I remember the next day, like getting my hair combed and telling my mom what happened. I don't remember like if there was any consequences with the honey guy or whatever. The next situation was with my cousin, a female cousin. She was the same age as me. I think maybe she had saw maybe somebody doing something or some porn. So she tried to do oral on me. Now we're the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably was like, I had to be no more than 5 then. I'm guessing the ages because I know that I left Oklahoma and moved back to Illinois when I was 6. That's when my mom left and left us in Illinois. So it's like my life started over at 6 and beyond, and that was a whole nother world. So that's why I'm trying to gauge like what my age may have been. I figure I must have been old enough to be able to remember, but who knows? But anyway, that same thing happened, right, with a cousin who's my same age. She experimented on me, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I moved to Illinois and the molestation started to happen there, and it was never penis penetration either. It was always with hands, right? But the same thing that my cousin demoed on me, I tried to demo with another cousin, another female cousin that was my same age there as well. But again, it was something that somebody tried to show me that I was trying to show her or have her do to me. So that's still maybe even a conversation to be had, like, because once you start unpacking, you can't deal with your stuff if you're not dealing with all the stuff that comes up within that. So that's exactly where I am with that too, like unpacking.
Well, I had the same, Tasha, same thing with a cousin.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. I think we're like maybe a year or 2 apart. Same thing. And like your aunt caught you guys. It was the same. It was like my mom, and just had a talk with us and was like, this is family. You don't do things like this, and it was also from watching porn, watching stuff you're not supposed to be watching and trying to figure it out. So yeah, definitely.
That's what I want to know.
And it wasn't a situation where we got caught doing it, and it was just a once or twice situation, and it was like, again, like I said, we're no more than 6 years old, that, with my cousin in Illinois, and it never happened again after that, because then this other molestation started happening to me, so that was just pretty much that. And not only was there sexual molestation there, I call it the fucking house of horrors, but there was abuse. In doing my I was taking a shower the other day. I think I made a post about a shower. You may have saw it, where I made a post the other day just saying, wow, I just realized that I lived most of my childhood life as a slave. Like, that literally came over me in the shower, thinking about, I was raising somebody else's child. The people that my mom left us with had 16 kids. They had adult children. So their children, they were being dropped off with their parents at their parents' house. And me as a kid, I was raising their children. If pacifiers couldn't be found, hollering babies, and they couldn't find the binky to plug it up, I would get my ass whooped for not being able to find the pacifier, or for not being able to find their spit cups, because they dipped snuff and chewed tobacco. Their older kids, my cousins, I call them my aunties, they took us out and made us steal, because we were underage, and if we got caught, we couldn't go to jail. As to if they got caught, they could. When we did get caught, they would literally beat me out of the store like I was in there doing some shit that they didn't have me doing.
Wow.
The whole scene, like, how dare you, and beat my ass out of the store. So one of these times where they had me out on this stealing capade, we ended up, I stole a bell, like a little brass bell. Well, that bell then became like my calling. When I say I lived as a slave, that bell became, every time that bell rang, I had to come running. Like, a slave, a house nigga, if you will. That was my life for years. If that bell rang and I didn't show up like Johnny on the spot, I would get my ass whooped. I was the house nigga. The phone could be sitting right next to them. That bell ring, I show up, dial such and such number for me.
Wow.
And I would be the phone caller. I will call until that person got on the phone and then hand the phone over. I was the grocery shopper, the lottery ticket player, everything. So, you know, that came over. I was like, wow, I literally was a fucking slave my entire childhood until I got fed up and started running away. I was a teenage runaway, you know. So there's a lot to unpack, a lot. So it's more than just sexual abuse. There's a lot. So
yeah, and we were talking about that earlier prior to you joining. That is just the levels of abuse. Well, what people consider trauma is different to, you know, is subjective to the person who is on the receiving and the giving end of it. You know, so yeah, that's a lot, Tasha.
yeah, a lot.
That's a whole lot.
All I can say, man, is you're my hero. That's all I can say, because people tell me all about how strong I am, but I've never dealt with those things. And y'all on here doing the same thing I'm doing.
Yeah. And just like you were saying with aunties feeling like they could whoop you or say certain things because they were older than you or whatever. I had an uncle, he was older, and just because he held the title uncle, he would just take us in the back alley and whoop us just because he had the title uncle for absolutely no reason besides that he had the title uncle. And he would make us say shit. He would make us sing this song, Tweedle deedle deedle deedle, before each hit. What? Like they just tormented us. That's what they did to us. Yeah.
That makes me just wonder. It reminds me of the movie Antoine Fisher. It just makes me wonder what happened to, you know, not to by any
to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
To them. And I've talked
because hurt people.
Like yeah. I've talked to them. I've talked to like my aunts and stuff who grew up more with that side of the family, because that's my grandmother's side of the family, my mom's side of the family. And apparently there's some deeper, darker rooted secret in it, and it went on all through that family, apparently, just talking to my auntie, and just, yeah, there was a lot of darkness in that family. So yeah, it's deeply rooted for sure. And that's why I work so hard to brand my brand and what it is, because it's just me coming out of all of that. That's what Torn is about. That's why I always say it's more than fashion, because Torn stands for that, thriving over rooted negativity. It's me coming out of all of that. So that's what that is. So
that's amazing.
That's
turning your tragedy into triumph.
Yep. You have to. Yeah, I mean, it's legitimately the only way that you can survive these days. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's sad, but it's true. Yeah. Like, I think back to like when I felt like things were easier. It was only because everything, you were covering everything up. That's why it was easier.
Yep, now that smashing it down,
you was just packing it down. Yep. And now that I'm older, it's like, well, I wonder why I thought that, or I wonder why I feel like this. And then you just start taking those layers off, you know, and processing them. Yeah. You know, so I mean, so when you're coaching people through things, Tema-Ra, how do you like what's your advice to people? Like, I'm not gonna say one thing because everybody's situation is different, but do you have like a go-to in your coaching that you kind of homework that you give people to help them unpack things, or like?
Well, I don't have a formal program type situation, right? Because I've kind of just got into professional life coaching stage.
Right.
One thing I do is I definitely use myself as an example. What I notice with people, understanding that and you get where they're coming from is a big thing, because a lot of people feel like you don't understand what I'm saying. So how can you possibly tell me, you know what I'm saying, how to fix this? So I let them know that, and I try to give examples of myself. But the biggest thing is understanding that your purpose, that you are here for a reason. So despite whatever happened to you, you're here for a reason.
Mhm.
And everything that happens to you are stepping stones. It's almost like a training camp. And I know that sounds crazy when you think about horrible things, but it's literally a training camp to give you all the things that you need, the
Mhm.
armor, whatever it is, so you can fulfill your purpose. You know what I'm saying? You may not know what that purpose is right now, but
Mhm.
if you didn't have one, you wouldn't be here. Whatever happened to you would have destroyed you.
Yep, I agree. I was doing a live, a guy I work for, he does a 305 live every day, Monday through Friday. And sometimes it's just funny and comedy, and sometimes it's really, really serious conversations. And we've talked about a lot of this. And a guy came on and talked. It was a day of, it was serious conversation, and he came on and he unpacked his story and was just saying, how people make fun of him for being gay or whatever. And you never know a person's story and why they are the way that they are. And so he shared his story in saying that how his dad pretty much would gather all his kids up to take them on a weekend trip, but he would single him and his other gay brother out and was like, they couldn't come, even as kids, because he saw the difference in them. It was like, yeah, y'all can't go. And where he taking 10 kids to go have fun, but singled them two out and they can't go. And he said, and then his uncle molested him as a child. And then his uncle started to take him out as a child and sell him to other men.
Oh God.
Yeah, he prostituted him out. And so he's right. He was all back to say he shared his story and all the things that happened to him in his life. And he's writing a book, and his book is called It Had to Happen That Way. So to what you were saying, he was like, I had to go through these things, in order to be who I am and to figure out who I am and why I am. He said, I'm not using the fact that these things happened to me for my homosexuality, but it had to happen this way. I just thought his story was amazing. It gave me chill bumps, and it had to happen that way. Like, we are here for a reason, and good or bad, the things that we went through, that was just part of the plan for our plan, unfortunately. And again, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't part of the story. So here we are to tell it. So
That's how I feel about my accident. Everything I got going on right now has an amp at the beginning of it. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm all inspirational and all that. I've always been a nice person, but this gives me the edge.
I know I was late and I missed. What happened? Do you mind sharing with me what happened?
In 2007, a friend of mine, she fell asleep while driving. I'm from New York.
Okay.
And yeah, she fell asleep while driving, and the car flipped over about 5 or 6 times. I was asleep. I didn't feel nothing, see nothing, hear anything. I kind of woke up in the hospital like this.
Wow.
Which I'm grateful for, because I know several people who was awake for their situation. So,
Yeah.
Feeling their arm being ripped off of their body, and all the trauma that goes along with that. I kind of skipped that part. So I'm blessed, and me and my homegirl were still cool. You know what I'm saying? I love her. She lives in Georgia. And yeah, it pretty much put me in a position to sit my behind down and figure out who I am. And all the things that I was doing wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. So I had to sit down, figure me out, all of my shadow work, all of my emotional issues, coming with figuring out that I had abandonment issues, understanding that I was suffering from neglect, understanding those things and unpacking and doing my shadow work. And now I'm here and I'm fulfilling my purpose, and I'm becoming successful.
Yeah, it's time for me to really start doing the shadow work.
That's the hardest part, because like I said, that my anger is what started my shadow work. Just because I could not protect my mother. You know, you just never know what triggers it. Because I honestly didn't feel like I needed to express it, tell anyone about it, do anything about it. But when I felt like my mom was in danger, it was just like, oh no, I've got to protect her, you know, no matter what, she's got to be protected. So, you know, it was hard. It was hard. But I took that whole entire year and I just started doing things. And I mean, that also became the ending of my marriage, because that's when I started to unpack all those things, that's when I realized how toxic my marriage was.
Sounds like a
the friend that I mean, we had a great friendship and everything, but there were so many things about the marriage that was so toxic that I just was layering it on top of all the other stuff, you know, for the sake of others. And so I literally, that year is how I just started, and I started to change, and I started to refocus and start putting me.
Like put you first.
Start putting me first. So yeah. So now I'm just walking around this earth just as I feel like I'm just as free as I have ever been in my life. Because I just don't even, if the energy is wrong, I just I have to just, you know, disassociate myself with it. Like, it's just so much. Like I have friends who I've loved. I've always been the friend that they unpack everything. They just release everything on me and I just absorb it all and try to help them through. I stopped doing that a couple years ago. And that just, so now I'm just like, I listen to you, but I can't take on your plight. I can't do that anymore. So I'm not that friend. I used to be that friend. I'm not that friend anymore. Like, I just can't do it anymore. It's just so freeing that I just don't want to be boggled. You know, I've lost friends because they're like, oh, you've changed. I had to change because the weight is too heavy.
It's a lot.
And you don't ever lose friends, love. I tell you that, you never lose friends.
That's real.
Is always co-creating and doing its due diligence in your favor. So anybody that leaves your life under any circumstances was not supposed to be there, and it's for your own good. You know, it sounds like you're married, you were trauma bonding. That's what a lot of us do. We get into relationships because we have that energy. So you are attracting the same, you know what I'm saying, type of traumas. My relationship started off as a trauma bond. And I'm blessed that I've been doing the work. I think I'm going a little bit faster than my king, you know what I'm saying? But our situation is a little different. We have a lot of space. He's always most of the time on the road. I live by myself. So we're together, but then it's almost like I live both a single and a married life. So we get our space. So he does his shadow work where he at. I have to do my shadow work where I'm at, and we kind of grow individually and share in that growth. But it definitely started off as a trauma bond. I was trying to replace my mother with him because of my abandonment issues where she was concerned. So I felt like I needed to be in a relationship like she was, because that's how you become priority. Her man was a priority. She put everything into him. She even compromised where I was concerned to make sure that he was good. So I felt like I needed to be in a relationship so I can get the same treatment. And that's not how it happened, which is why my relationship is the way it is. It was supposed to teach me what I needed to learn, you know what I'm saying, and put me in a position to learn it so I can be who I am. So now I will be 14 years in September. This is the most healthy relationship that I have ever been in. I don't do regular marriage, to be quite honest. I've seen too much. I've experienced a lot. So there's too many different ways to make sure that the people that you love are straight without having to,
I get it. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying, Tasha knows, they know I'm so free.
I know that's right now.
And the way I love is so free. Yeah. So
It bothered me a little bit though. At the beginning, I wanted the cliche, I need to have the hot picket fence. We need to get married. We need to live together. We need to have this amount of kids. And that's success. Yeah, see, now, you know how many people I know that are miserable right now because they married the wrong person for whatever the reason is. And now they feel stuck.
Yeah, I get it.
Wishing that they were somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? There's so many women that don't know that they're in a polygamous situation. You think you're in a monogamous relationship.
Right.
Oh, no, ma'am, you're not. A lot of false stuff like, I can't live that
involuntary
life.
polygamous.
I don't have time for none of that. I don't want nobody that don't want to be with me, and I don't want to keep nobody where they don't want to be.
Don't want to be kept.
Yeah,
that's right. All right. On that note, because that was a good note, can you tell our followers and listeners how to follow, find you, listen to your show? Can you tell them that?
Yes. Well, you can find me on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, AMPspirationttv. Okay, that's on YouTube. You can find me on TikTok at Spiritual Amputee. You can find me on IG at AMPspireMedia Network. And you can find me on Facebook on AMPspireMedia Houston. So you can catch all of my podcasts, any of those places. If you have Anchor, you can hear the audio versions of all of my shows. Every Saturday, we do our childhood trauma podcast with my soul sisters. On Sundays, we have Sundays with Spirit with my cousin, 33 Master Teacher. So our weekends is all about healing. So you definitely guys check that out. And in April, we are launching AMPspireMedia Network on Roku TV.
On Roku.
Yes. So
nice.
and hopefully we can have the Naturally Unbothered podcast. I got it right. You know what I'm saying? Well, maybe we can get y'all on television. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? There's 50 million people that, you know what I'm saying, need to be naturally unbothered. So we can work that on out. But yeah, that's how you can find me. And yeah.
Well, we definitely thank you for being on the show. I told you, when I saw you, I just felt it. And I was like, listen, hey, you think you can do this for me?
Absolutely. And I would love to have you guys on my show. I would love
definitely.
Oh yeah, we would love to come on.
Just tell us when and we'll be there.
All right.
Yeah.
And on time.
And
absolutely. No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I will make sure you get enough rest. So you
Oh my God.
Get your rest. But everybody, thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming in and helping us unpack and sharing and giving us some tips, and just thank you so much. The conversation was great before we even started the podcast. So I'm pretty sure we'll have plenty more conversations, but I do appreciate you and your energy and your light and your love. 100%.
Thank you. Reflection.
All right.
Reflection, gratitude. I appreciate y'all.
Yes. And to our listeners, y'all know where to find us. We're on IG, we're on Facebook, Instagram. We're on Twitter. We do have a Twitter page. We don't ever plug it, but we have a Twitter page too, all Naturally Unbothered. And y'all can follow us on YouTube. Y'all know that Ebony loves y'all letters. We didn't do any of our segments today, but guess what? So what? Y'all know y'all can follow us on every platform where there is podcasts, like iHeart, Apple, Spotify, anything. Anywhere you listen to a podcast, y'all can listen to us. And like I said, if y'all want to see us, go on YouTube. We're on there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need some merchandise? We got that too. That's naturallyunbothered.com. You can get some merch. And until next time, this has been another great episode of Naturally Unbothered. And I just want to say, if you guys need to unpack some stuff, this is the lady to help you unpack it.
I'm here for you.
I'll be reaching out, girl.
Yes. Until next time, y'all have a good night.
Peace.